What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Frankie Bones, and in today's video, gonna be recapping the last two series for the Yankees, hopping back into the Yankee Universe. Had a pretty crazy week last week with my brother getting married and tons of things going on, so figured I would take the time, recap these last two, just do one video, save myself a little bit of stress. But the Yankees end up playing pretty well in this split. They end up taking 4 of the 6. They take both series 2 out of 3. And overall just play pretty well. So we're going to be breaking down all the games pretty quickly because we have 6 games to go through. Again, go through our key takeaways, rebranding the injury news segment to What's Up Doc, talk about who is on the mend. And then we'll end with who's on deck, talking about who the Yankees have coming down the pipeline. If you guys enjoy this video, make sure to drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you guys are new to not miss out on any of the Yankees content coming in the future. So to start things off with the Mariners series, the Yankees again take 2 out of 3 in this one. The Yankees take game number 1 by a score of 3-1. They take game number 2 by a score of 4-2. And ultimately, they end up dropping the third game by a score of 10-2. Really a pretty ugly one. Domingo Germán really struggles in this one, and we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on here as we get rolling. Garrett Cole with a really nice start here against the Mariners as well. Moving on to the series with the Rangers, the Yankees again take 2 out of 3. Except in inverse order this time. In game number 1, the Yankees end up losing this one by a score of 4-2. This comes as an extra innings loss. And in game number 2, the Yankees end up taking this one by a score of 1-0. Luis Severino pitches really well in this one, and they're able to hold a really potent Rangers offense to 0 runs, which was really impressive to see. It was definitely a big question mark coming into the series overall. And the Yankees end up taking the rubber match here as well yesterday by a score of 5-3. They end up rallying to come back to win and really send them on their next road trip on a really positive note. And definitely some great things to take away from these last 6 games and some important things to discuss as we're just about at the halfway point here. We're through 78 games, so probably after this series in Oakland, we are going to be halfway. So definitely some pretty tangible things to be able to take away from this first half of the MLB season. Moving on to our key takeaways, the first thing that I want to talk about is Billy McKinney. He continues to get the job done. He has been really impactful since he came up. A lot of people were a little confused as to why he was the choice here to come up, but honestly, he's really played the role really well. Defensively, he's been solid, but offensively is really where he has been the most impactful over his last 7 games. He has a slash line of 333, 368, and 833. This also gives him an OPS of 1.202, which anything over 1 is phenomenal. And he's really been getting it done with the power. 3 home runs, 5 RBIs. Really just contributing to this team in a time where the Yankees need some guys to step up. And sometimes it's that next man up mentality that the Yankees have had over the past couple of seasons. And he's really embodied that and been able to make an impact. And I think really make a strong case to remain on this roster. The next key takeaway that we'll talk about, Domingo Germán. He was really consistent to start the year and was, a pretty good rock here in the middle of the rotation for the Yankees. He's been struggling over his last few starts. In the third game against the Mariners was when he towed the slab in the Bronx, and he struggles again after his bad outing in Boston. He ends up going 3.1, 8 earned runs, 4 Ks, 2 walks, and that's just absolutely brutal. He's been getting beat up pretty good of recent. He's been having difficulty with keeping the ball in the ballpark, and I don't know if it's just game plan adjustments against him this year. To start the year, he's done a great job of staying efficient and really dominating the strike zone, but at the same time, when you live in the strike zone, you're going to get hit. So we'd love to continue to see Domingo make some adjustments to whether it be his pitch selection, his pitch mix, just sort of when he's utilizing all of his pitches. But another stinker for him. Fortunately, the team was able to take the other games, which was big, but with an opportunity to sweep at home, obviously giving up 8 is definitely a tough situation. For our third key takeaway, we'll talk about Harrison Bader. So, although he hasn't been absolutely mashing the baseball like he was the first time that he came back earlier on in May when he made his season debut, his impact just feels really strong to me. And it's just situations like last night. I think he's 4 of his last 20 since coming back, which is, 200 batting average. I think he only has 2 RBIs, which came last night, but that was a huge spot, and he had the ability to step up, make the biggest hit in the game to help the Yankees take the lead and ultimately win this rubber match. And his defense obviously speaks for itself, but also his energy. I love the way that he really galvanizes the group and overall just a really, really positive impact on this Yankees team that has been struggling. And I think it's important that he continues to step up in this role throughout the season. We'll talk a little bit more about what the rest of the season might look like in the What's Up Doc segment. And finally, our last key takeaway, Luis Severino. He ends up with a strong bounce back start. His last few have been mediocre at best. Been having a lot of difficulties with the long ball and making it deep into ball games. And he pitched really well against a very strong Texas Rangers team. He ends up going 6 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 4 Ks, 2 walks. And that's a great thing to build on because this Rangers team, like I'd mentioned, probably one of the top offenses in baseball at the moment. And he did a great job. Didn't really have the opportunity to watch this game, but he pitched incredibly well. He kept them in the ball game. Obviously, the Yankees only end up putting up 1 run in this one, but was enough to get it done in that spot. And I think there's a lot of good stuff for him to look at, continue to get back on track, and continue to build back up to that Sevy of old form. The velocity was back up, which was great. Good breaking ball stuff from what I saw in the recap. So overall, hats off to him, and hopefully this continues on a positive trend. Next, we'll move on to What's Up Doc. Talk about some of the injuries that the Yankees have and who might be back in the mix soon enough. So, speaking of the latter, the first guy that we'll talk about is Carlos Rodon. He remains on track for his July 5th debut against Baltimore, so I don't know where that date was thrown out from. It's just sort of been reported that that's the track that he's on, but ultimately we heard that he was going to need 3 rehab starts. To this point, he has done 2. He pitched Sunday in Double-A Somerset. He went 4 innings, no runs, only allowing 1 hit, 4 Ks, 48 pitches. So his stuff has really been efficient. Again, got that pitch count up to about 50, so curious to see, obviously, how he responds to the 50 pitches and ultimately just getting back on the mound again for a third time. Hopefully, I imagine they can get him up to around 75 to 80 before they feel comfortable with slotting him back into the rotation, because if his stuff is really playing the way that it is, would give him the opportunity to probably get through about 5 at 80 and try and rework him back up to around that 100 pitch mark back in the major leagues. So very exciting news on that front. Inversely, now we'll talk about the captain. So obviously a lot of question marks about his timetable, really what's going on with this injury and what to expect for him moving forward. It's now came out since my last video that Aaron Judge has actually torn a ligament in his toe, and unfortunately we just don't really know a lot yet. Aaron Judge talks about how a lot of his teammates, I don't think anybody has sort of dealt with this issue before in the past, so difficult to get a gauge on sort of what a recovery timetable looks like. He mentioned that he's hopeful for a return this season, which obviously we all are. This Yankees team needs Aaron Judge to accomplish the kind of things that they want to. Very difficult for him having it on his right foot. This is his back foot in the batter's box that he is squishing the bug with. And obviously running around playing outfield is difficult for him as he still is experiencing pain and just sort of every day walking around, things like that. So potentially we'll see some updates on this maybe over the next few weeks, whether it be seeing specialists. I know one orthopedic doctor came out who is not working with the team and mentioned that it could be about a 2-month recovery from the time where he injured it, which would be around the beginning of August. I think that's a little optimistic. Maybe getting him back in September would be a little bit more realistic, but unfortunately don't have too much more information outside of that. Hopping back on the positive train for the last two guys in What's Up Doc, we'll talk about Nestor Cortez. He has now began a throwing program. He was throwing in the outfield a couple days ago, and I guess has positively responded to that sort of work that he was going through. It's expected that he's about 1 week away from throwing on the mound. So at that point, not sure exactly what the ramp-up schedule will look like from there, but hopefully we continue on this positive trend and we see Nestor a little bit after the All-Star break. And finally, the last guy we'll talk about is the Hambone. Ian Hamilton, him and that Slombio, they are going to be back. He's going to be traveling with the Yankees on their road trip, which we'll talk about in Who's on Deck. He's expected to rejoin the team, so with an off date today, I'm not sure if it'll be announced today or tomorrow when exactly he will end up returning to the team. He's had some good rehab assignments in AA Somerset, and expect him to still be just as effective. He was a great piece for the Yankees earlier on this season, and excited to get him back because the Hambone's an exciting guy to watch. And finally, we'll move on to our last segment, Who's on Deck. Talk about the Yankees schedule coming up over the next few series and ultimately what I expect the team to accomplish. So today, when I'm recording this video on Monday, the Yankees have off as they travel out to the West Coast to take on the Oakland A's for 3 games. Obviously, should be pretty interesting to see if they end up staging anything with the Yankees in town to sort of show up the owners. But after that, the Yankees will travel back over towards the East Coast. They'll make a quick pit stop in St. Louis for 3 games at the Cardinals, a team who is sort of bouncing back from some very early season struggles, so should be an interesting series there. Also should mention I'm hoping for a sweep in Oakland because everybody should really be sweeping the Oakland A's. And after St. Louis, the Yankees will head home to host the Baltimore Orioles for 4 games. Again, this is the set where we may see Carlos Rodon return. Obviously not exactly sure. Baltimore is the team that we're chasing in second place in the AL East at the moment. Believe that we're 5 games back. They're 4.5 back from the Rays. So definitely a good opportunity for the Yankees to make up some ground in this series. If they're able to take 3 out of 4, that would be fantastic. The split, I would say I'm even pretty happy with, but overall, definitely a great opportunity for the Yankees to make up ground in the division. And as always, division games are almost 2 times more important than any other game. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think overall about these past 6 games, some of the positives that this Yankees team have been showing over the last couple games. Let me know what you think about Carlos Rodon potentially coming back, when you think Aaron Judge will return, and ultimately how you guys think we're going to fare over this road trip. But again, that's going to do it for me, guys. This has been your boy Frankie Bones, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Peace out.